Scottie Nell Hughes is the director of Tea Party News Network. You see her on Fox News, Fox Business Channel, CNN, pretty much ending Piers Morgan's career. And now she's the author of a brand new book called Roar, and she's live in studio. Good morning, Scottie.
Good morning. I am sitting here actually having to retweet a tweet or erase, delete, and fix a tweet because, you know, writers are supposed to be, you know, good at spelling and grammar.
And yeah, you had a little typo. It's hard this early in the morning.
Yeah, it is hard to function, isn't it?
No, it is NSA. I'm going to be honest with you. It's their fault why my tweet got completely butchered.
That's why you should have rethought that alliance with a Tea Party anything. You know how they are. All right, so the subtitle of your book, Scottie, is The New Conservative Woman Speaks Out. And you have been speaking out quite a bit over the last year and a half when you sort of started this public media career. I wonder, first of all, what is a new conservative woman? Many people in America would hear that phrase and think that's a contradiction because conservative women are relatively traditional and hold on to traditional values, I would think. So what makes it new?
Well, last time I checked, Larry, we do not live into the Leave It to Beaver area. It's not that same time period. We're not cookie cutter where the man goes off to work and says, "Goodbye, honey," and she sits at home in her little fluffy apron and wonders what casserole she's going to make for dinner, and the perfect children run off, and the only problem they have at school is little Jimmy got pushed by little Ben, and that's all they've got. It's a different time period we live in now. And to be honest with you, the liberal left has sold the idea that conservative women, they want to be barefoot and pregnant in front of the oven. And the truth is, with the economy that Barack Obama has given us and this lovely job that Hillary Clinton's doing, there are women actually working out there. We're multitasking. And so we do have a new emergence of conservative women. And we are fighting a war on women. It's a war that the liberals have declared on us.
I've been reading part of your book here, and it falls into something we were discussing earlier. One little passage here, where you talk about what it is to raise kids today in the public education environment. And you say, social studies and history books push to make our children global citizens by downplaying American history and patriotism. This has never been better illustrated than when President Obama stated there's no such thing as American exceptionalism. Common Core books are filled with names we cannot pronounce and stories which hope to make American kids relate more to those in other countries than to neighbors across the street. In D.C. yesterday, a teacher was telling kids that they needed to go home and write a report comparing and contrasting Adolf Hitler and George W. Bush. Do you find when you travel examples of this kind of stuff happening in the educational environment?
Hands down. It's something that's been happening for years. There's no doubt. This is not just something that's come under, Barack Obama. The truth is, Common Core was laid in place before really Barack Obama even got into office. It was something that was already put in the steps. And the question is, who's the Grand Pumbas out there that are putting this in place? Pumbas. You like that Grand Pumbas there? But the truth is, it's now becoming exposed because people's eyes are being awakened to it. But this is where the Republican Party needs to listen. We don't have a principal issue. How many times within the Republican Party you hear we need to go after this demographic and we need to appeal to this group? We don't need to change or compromise our principles. The Republican Party has an issue with communicating our principles, relating our principles. That's why we're losing these demographics. There's no difference between all of us. We are all united under one thing. We want to provide for our families and have a safe environment to raise our children and future generations in. So let's find a way to relate. That's why Common Core education has gotten such the response it has. It relates.
The book is called Roar. She's Scottie Nell Hughes. You can tell by her accent that she is a born and bred New Yorker, and she is making her. No, I'm.
Don't insult me that.
You're from Tennessee, is that right?
I am. Well, Georgia, Atlanta. I'm a volunteer, but grew up in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, all right. And so let me. You have mentioned, I think, in the last 4 minutes, Common Core about 7 times. And when you go to New York, you go to Los Angeles, and even here in the district or in the greater area, Common Core is not something that's on the tip of everyone's tongue. But I'm guessing down in Tennessee, and when you travel through the country with the Tea Party News Network, the moms, the dads who are caring about how their kids are being raised and how they're being taught in the public schools, it's item number 1, right?
It is. When my child came home from kindergarten last year, and now I've got a first and second grader, and both of them on the front of their textbook says Common Core on it, I'm going, okay, I think, it's obviously in my room.
But what's the danger of Common Core? Because you hear good Republicans like Jeb Bush and Mike Huckabee who come out and say, listen, it's just an academic standard that we want kids to be evaluated on. Why is that a problem?
The problem with Common Core is, and this is just from my own personal experience in dealing with my own children and sitting there looking at some of it, it's not necessarily A plus B equals C. It's A plus B. How do you feel about C?
Yeah.
And that's not education.
That's not education right there. And when you sit there and you focus education on emotions rather than fact, they can be easily manipulated.
Exactly.
And I think that's what scares us about
There's a lot of room for interpretation of how you, such as an English
fact,
teacher who wants you to compare and contrast Hitler with George W. Bush.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And they're allowed to get away with that. And we've seen that indoctrination, and we've seen it, these are obviously teachers that have gone through this. They didn't just wake up one day and decide, hey, I'm going to sit there and compare these two together. But that right there is why you've seen such an emergence to it, because in the Republican Party and most conservatives, and I don't put Jeb Bush in that category, can capitalize on this because we can relate to it. That's the problem with Republicans today. We sit there and we use facts, we use numbers, we use brains. Stop it. Tell me how it is affecting my dinner table, my grocery bill. Tell me why my gas prices are higher because President Obama and the Democrats will not sign Keystone Pipeline in because they want to protect some hoot owl. Tell me those things. That's what I want to hear.
Scottie Nell Hughes is the author of Roar, and today is the 13th anniversary of the attacks of 9/11, and I know you well enough to know that had a significant impact on you as a mother and as an American. Here, when we look back on those attacks, and again, speaking for this new conservative woman, how is national security and the threat to the homeland a vital, vital issue for the new conservative woman?
It is a very vital issue, and 9/11 was a game changer in my life. I was always wanted to be in broadcasting, but I was also pre-law because somebody told me that a woman 5'11" and with curves could never be on television. So and pushed me into pre-law. 9/11.
Let me just make sure that the audience understands.
There are
you
curves.
Are in fact 5'11" and do have curves. It's
do.
Radio. I need to lay that out. Yeah.
Thank you very, very much. Well, and I do. And they said, you are not what a broadcaster, a television reporter would look like. That was actually quite clean for Larry O'Connor, to be honest with you, his description. Just saying. But to be honest with you, I watched that day, and I watched journalists. They did not just become someone telling a story. And they didn't do what we saw in Ferguson. They didn't encourage the story or become the story. But they sat there, and they were the most important tools to those people that were not in New York. I sat there and watched hour and hour of coverage and said, that's what I want to be. Yeah. They affected what was going on, what people knew what was going on. People were living, their lifeblood. And that's why I wanted to get involved in it.
Stay right there. I know you have more to say, but you know how radio works.
That's
You've
right.
been around the medium for a while.
No matter how much we love you, there is something that takes precedence.
We continue with Scottie Nell Hughes, author of the brand new book, Roar. 7:17 on WMAL. We continue with Scottie Nell Hughes live in studio. Her brand new book, Roar, is about the emergence of the new conservative woman. And we're talking national politics. We're talking international politics, frankly. But let's get to the politics of relationships. Really, it's a highly political thing, women and men. And you have a lot in your book about how women relate with men in the home, which, frankly, I think means more to people listening right now than what Barack Obama is going to do. How does the new conservative woman fit into the relationships with the new conservative man, for that matter?
Well, I know that you probably have feminists that listen to this show, so get ready. We might have them veer off the road when I read this. But I just want to read one paragraph, and it's not because I'm in a male-dominated room, but it is the truth. One of the major arguments that my husband and I always have is that I hold him to these fairy tale Disney standards and wish for him to plan surprise moments for us. Then when I basically have handed him the outline of the plans for exactly what I want on a silver platter, I get angry at him when he doesn't take it.
Yeah, that sounds very familiar to me, actually. But and what is his response to you? Well, I wanted it to be a surprise. If you lay it all out there for me, then it's not spontaneous.
Which we all know is just a cover, is I didn't take any time to do it.
Here's the surprise. I got us tickets to the football game. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, no, it's one of those. I blame it on Disney. I blame it on all those Disney movies. You never see boys growing up, or maybe you do, sitting there watching all the princess movies where the man comes in and rescues her and takes her off. Well, that's what we grow up on. We as females want that.
But we're told from the feminists in the world that Disney is guilty of unrealistic expectations for women, that women are held to this standard by Disney films. You're saying, well, you know what? The men in those films can't really live up either.
That's exactly it. And that's the difference between conservative women and liberal women. Conservative women, liberal women not only want to sit there and be equal with you, they want to be above you. They want their own standards. Conservative women, there's no glass ceiling for us. It never exists for us. We just continue going forward. And if we are presented with a problem that might be considered sexist, we don't care about it. We find another way to get above it.
How do you deal with the people who hear what you say and they're just haters? They just hate what you stand for. They say this is not right. This is not the way women should think. This is not the way women.
Self-loathing.
That's right.
You.
Well, how do you
Haters
respond
gonna
to that?
hate. Players gonna play. I go and turn on my Taylor Swift song and I just bop away all day.
Yeah.
No, the truth is that's what they want. That is what the liberal side, the liberal women want to.
I mean,
say.
you get some crap on the social media. People come at you.
They do, but here's the funniest thing. They come at me for my conservative viewpoints. They're like, "Oh, you just need to go back to the oven." It's people like you that need to be stuck with the oven barefoot and pregnant. I'm like, "Thank you," and I make really good muffins. Right.
They end up sounding more sexist than the Archie Bunker man of the 70s.
That's exactly it, and that's why I think this is what my motivation for writing Roar is, because basically, and I love to use this word when Larry O'Connor's in the room, basically for the next 2 years, the sorority house of liberal progressive women, we saw it last week, their main goal is to neuter every single strong conservative man that has a microphone in front of their face. They literally want to make sure that you guys, they demonize you, they make you horrendous, because when you sit there and you criticize Hillary Clinton or Elizabeth Warren, they say, look, he's just a chauvinist pig, don't listen to him. And that's one thing. The good news, you guys can handle your own.
Yeah.
But this is what is inspiring. This is why I knew I had to get into the grassroots and get these women talking.
Let's face it, though, Scottie, we've only got about a minute left, but honestly, political issues with regard to women in America, in terms of the way the media frames these discussions, it begins and ends with the issue of abortion. And what's the best way for conservatives to be able to articulate their position without sounding like they're trying to, quote-unquote, control a woman's body?
You know what? We are the strongest feminists in the world. The key is we believe in the feminist that has not been born yet. And that's the biggest, every argument I have from, I have the right of my own body. You know what? What about that female in you? That could be the future female right there. So when you kill her, you hate women.
There it is, Scottie Nell Hughes. Her book is Roar. She's got a big, you're probably going to see her all over cable news. You have a big media blitz day today, so good luck to you. And thanks for joining us here.
Good to have you in the house.
Always good to have someone here in studio. You should come back.
Anytime you have me. Hopefully one day I get to sit and guest host, but that would mean one of you be gone, and that'd be sad.
Well, we do take the occasional vacation.
We do.
Or sick day, Brian Wilson.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I couldn't help it.
It's 7:20.